Tuckers. But no, it's not Casey Stengel. I wish it were. It goes back to Hugh Casey. Hugh Casey played for the Pittsburgh Pirates back in the 40s. And played for the Brooklyn Dodgers as well. So I have those in my sports room at home. Today I want to share a couple stories about Herb Saltman and also Saul Finkelstein, in case you're puzzled, both Jewish. And they are the heart and soul of this event. I'll tell you first about Saul. Saul was smaller than Myron Cope. Saul was about 5 feet tall. He lived on Hobart Street with his mother in Squirrel Hill, and he was a clerk for Judge Sircone in the Superior Court offices in downtown Pittsburgh. And he was quite a baseball fan. One day I was at the Pirate Fest in Monroeville, and I had a sign on my table. I'm looking for stories about the 1960 World Series. Do you have one? The first one that approached me was a blonde woman who came from Polish Hill, and she looked like the Queen of Poland. She came over and she says, I have a good story for you. I was coming home from school one day in Polish Hill, and the boys were listening to the transistor radio. If you remember, everybody talks about transistor radios in regard to the 60 World Series. And she said the boys were walking near me, and it was after school, and all of a sudden they start hollering. The boys start hollering. And she said a man burst through a screen door on Polish Hill, and he came out on the steps and he started screaming, "It took a Pollock to do it! It took a Pollock to do it!" And see, that's one of those things that none of the writers at Forbes were aware of that. So many of you have your own stories about where you were or what someone said or what went on whenever the World Series was played. So Saul Finkelstein steps up to the table after the Polish Queen, and he says, I think I have a story you'll like. And as I said, Saul was a diminutive figure. He had rimless glasses, wispy, thin hair, and a smile. And he told me that every October 13th, I believe it started in 1985, he had a lone pilgrimage to the wall at Forbes Field. He would stop at the Dirty O, get some hot dogs and some drinks, and come over here and sit at the base of the flagpole and listen to a tape of the 7th game of the 1960 World Series. I like that story. And I wrote about it in a book that I was working on called Maz and the 60 Bucks. Someone brought me a copy here today to sign. You can't find that book anywhere these days. I wish I had about 100 more copies.